Jace Rennick had seen many strange things in his life. As a scavenger flying through forgotten parts of the galaxy, he had found broken warships, alien relics, and even planets covered in glass. But nothing prepared him for what he saw that day. On Station Dros 9, the black market hub floating near a dying red star. The air was thick with heat and smoke as he walked through the narrow metal halls. Merchants shouted in different languages, selling parts, weapons, and creatures that were not legal anywhere else. Jace kept his coat tight and his face hidden. He was here to buy old engine cores, not trouble. But trouble found him anyway. He followed a crowd toward a dark room guarded by tall, silent beings with metal arms. A flashing sign read, "Private auction, high clearance only." Jace was curious. He showed a forged ID chip and slipped inside. The room was quiet and cold. Bright lights shone down on a small stage. Behind thick glass walls, strange items stood in cages and cases, rare animals, lost tech, and things even Jace couldn't name. Wealthy bidders sat in silence, each wearing masks. Then the auctioneer stepped forward, a tall alien with pale gray skin and long fingers. "Next item," he said, voice smooth like oil. "One of a kind. Unknown species. Live specimen. Extremely rare." The crowd murmured. A silver pod rose from the floor. Inside it, curled up and asleep, was a tiny girl. She looked almost human, but not quite. Her skin glowed like moonlight and her hair shimmered with soft colors. Her body was no longer than a forearm like a doll. Two delicate wings rested against her back, folded like glass leaves. Jace blinked. Was she even real? "She speaks Galactic Common," the auctioneer said, "and has shown signs of advanced intelligence. Starting bid, 500,000 credits." Bidding began at once. A rich merchant from Orion, a collector from the Outer Rings. The numbers rose quickly. Jace wasn't sure why, but something stirred inside him. Maybe it was the way she looked, so small and out of place. Maybe it was the way her fingers twitched in her sleep like she was trying to escape even in her dreams. He checked his credit balance. Not enough, not even close, but then his comlink buzzed. "Jace, that reactor core you wanted?" Seller backed out, said a voice in his ear. "You're clear to leave, no point staying." He looked back at the girl. For reasons he didn't understand, he raised his hand. 1,000,000 credits, he said loud and clear. The room went quiet. The auctioneer blinked. "We have a new bid." No one countered. Some leaned back in their chairs. A few even looked away. Jace felt cold sweat on his neck. Why were they afraid? "Sold," said the auctioneer, voice unsure. Minutes later, 2 guards placed the sealed pod into Jace's hover cart. No one stopped him. No one followed. As he pushed the cart down the corridor, he heard whispers behind him. Doesn't he know who that is? Humans. Always chasing trouble. Back on his ship, the Nomad's Grace, he set the pod down in the med bay. The girl was still asleep, her body rising and falling gently. He checked the pod's controls. No tracker, no ID tag. Just a simple life support system and a strange lock on the side. He tapped it. The pod opened with a soft hiss. The girl stirred. Her eyes fluttered open, deep, glowing silver. She looked straight at him, not afraid, not surprised, just sad. Jace knelt down. "Hey, you okay?" She sat up slowly. Her wings twitched. Her voice was soft but clear. "You're human." He nodded. "Name's Jace, don't worry, you're safe now." She looked around the room, then back at him. "You shouldn't have taken me." "Why not?" "Because they'll come after you." Jace raised an eyebrow. "Who will?" She paused. Then, she whispered something that sent a chill through the ship. "I was once a princess." He stared at her, not sure he heard right. "A what?" She stood up inside the pod, no bigger than a house cat, and placed a small hand on her chest. "My name is Saralee. I am the last daughter of the Miralith Empire." Jace blinked. That name was ancient, spoken only in old tales. The Miralith were once rulers of half the galaxy, known for their peaceful ways and powerful star magic. But they vanished centuries ago, wiped out by war or time no one knew for sure. Sirali sat down again, looking tired. They sold me like an object. My family is gone. My world is dust. But I remember everything. Jace stood in silence. He didn't believe in fairy tales. But the look in her eyes was too real. And the fear in the voices back at the auction. That wasn't fear of a rare item. That was fear of someone important. He sighed. All right, Princess, looks like we both need some answers. She looked at him. You will help me? Jace wasn't sure what he was getting into, but the moment he saw her in that pod, he felt something he hadn't felt in years. Purpose. Yeah, he said. I'll help you. A light on the ship's console began to blink. Incoming signal. Trouble was already on its way. The blinking red light on the control panel grew faster. Jace Rennick leaned over the console and tapped the screen. The message was short but urgent. Alert. Bounty issued. Target. Unidentified humanoid. Last seen with human male aboard the Nomad's Grace. Below the words was a blurry image of Sirali, still curled up in the glass pod. A price was listed below. 10 million credits. Jace's eyes widened. That was more than what most people earned in a lifetime. He turned and looked at Sirali, who sat on a cushion in the corner of the ship. Her wings were folded tight, her arms wrapped around her knees. She looked small, even in the soft blue lights of the cabin. You seeing this? Jace asked. Sirali nodded. They found us faster than I thought. Who are they exactly? She looked at him. The ones who took my crown. The ones who destroyed my home. Jace scratched his head. I thought the Miralith Empire vanished a long time ago. It did, Sirali said quietly. But not by accident. My family was betrayed from within. Some of our own people helped outsiders take control. They wanted the secrets we protected. What? Secrets? Sirali hesitated. Then she said, there is a map hidden inside me. Not a paper map. A code. It leads to the Star Core, a machine made by my ancestors. It can bend light, shift gravity, and maybe even change time. Jace whistled. No wonder they want you. Suddenly the ship shook. A loud beep rang out. Contact. 3 ships incoming, said the ship's AI in a calm voice. Weapons locked. Jace jumped into the pilot's seat. Hang on. The Nomad's Grace wasn't a warship. It was old, fast, and tough, but it had no real weapons. He slammed the thrusters forward, pulling away from the trade route. The stars stretched into lines as they entered sublight speed, but the enemy ships followed close. Sirali stood beside him, holding onto the seat. They won't stop. They're bounty hunters from the Red Syndicate. Figures. Pirates with nice ships and no rules. Outside the window, flashes of blue and red light filled space. Laser blasts zipped past the hull. Jace dodged and weaved, flying through an asteroid belt nearby. The rocks were dangerous, but they gave cover. One of the enemy ships got too close and crashed into a spinning boulder. The explosion shook space, but the other 2 were still on their tail. We need help, Jace said. Sirali stepped back and closed her eyes. A faint glow appeared around her hands. Suddenly, the ship's damaged navigation panel lit up with new symbols. Try this, she said. Jace frowned. You just rewired my ship with magic? She smiled faintly. Not magic. Star logic. He entered the new coordinates. A hidden path lit up through the asteroid field, one so tight and fast that no normal ship could follow. With a deep breath, Jace punched the controls. The Nomad's Grace sped into the tight trail, rocks spinning, passed within inches. The enemy ships hesitated, then one tried to follow. It didn't make it. The rocks tore it apart in a burst of fire and smoke. Only one ship remained. Jace pushed the engine to its limit. The ship's frame groaned, but they broke through the other side. A pale blue planet rose ahead. AI, scan for safe landing, he said. The voice replied, surface shows ruins, no life signs, atmosphere stable. He turned to Sirali. We're dropping in. They landed in a field of tall, glowing grass. Strange trees twisted in the distance and soft wind hummed like music. Jace shut off the engines. Smoke rose from the back of the ship. We'll need time to fix that. Sirali stepped outside and breathed in the air. This place was once a Miralith garden world, she said. Now it sleeps. Jace looked around. Looks peaceful. Not for long, she said. They're still coming. That night, while Jace worked on repairs, Sirali sat under the stars. She hummed an old song, her voice quiet and clear. Jace sat beside her. How old are you, really? In human years. Maybe 14. But my body was placed in stasis to protect me. I have memories from many generations. Some are mine. Some were given to me. Like dreams. Like puzzles, she said. Pieces from long ago. They sat in silence for a while. Then she looked at him. Why did you buy me? Jace thought about it. I don't really know. Maybe because you looked lost. And I know that feeling. You could sell me now, she said softly. You'd be rich, he chuckled. Yeah, and dead 2 minutes later. She smiled. You're strange for a human. Thanks. I try. The next morning, the ship's alarm blared again. The last enemy ship had found them. Jace groaned. Can't they take a hint? This time, there was no escape. The enemy ship landed nearby. Tall, armored hunters stepped out. 3 of them. Their helmets covered their faces and their weapons glowed. Hand over the girl, said their leader. Do it and we'll let you live. Jace stood in front of Sirali. Not happening. You don't understand what she is, the hunter said. Actually, I think I do. The hunters raised their weapons, but Sirali stepped forward. She raised her hands. A wave of light spread out from her, pulsing like a heartbeat. The hunters froze. Their weapons sparked and dropped. Their armor cracked. They screamed and fell to their knees. What did you do? Jace asked. I reminded them who I am, Sirali said. After the light faded, the hunters were unconscious. Jace looked at her with wide eyes. That was something. I can't do it often, she said. It takes energy, but I'll learn. More. Jace nodded. Good. Because something tells me this is just the beginning. They dragged the hunters far from the ship and left them on the edge of the forest. Then they took off again, this time heading deeper into unknown space. As they flew, Sirali touched the console. A new path appeared, toward a place called the Forbidden Halo. What's there? Jace asked. She looked ahead, her eyes glowing softly. A memory, she said, and a key to everything. The Forbidden Halo was not on any normal map. It was a place full of mystery and danger. Most travelers avoided it. Some called it cursed. Others believed it didn't even exist. But Jace Rennick had learned something. When a glowing alien princess says to go somewhere, you go. The nomad's grace entered the outer edge of the halo. Stars swirled in strange patterns like silver rivers moving across space. Clouds of gas shimmered with colors Jace had never seen before. Floating pieces of ancient ships and broken machines drifted between bright stars. It's beautiful, Jace whispered. Sirali nodded. This is where my people were born. Before the Empire. Before everything. The ship passed through a wall of light. Inside, time felt strange. The clocks blinked wrong numbers. The AI gave confused reports. But Sirali's face lit up. We're close. They found it at the center of the halo, a giant structure hidden inside a dead moon. It looked like a temple but built with shining metal and floating stone. Rings of energy moved around it slowly like a peaceful storm. Jace landed the ship on a flat platform near the entrance. As soon as the ramp opened, the air around them hummed. The temple remembers me, Sirali said softly. It's still alive. They Walked inside. The walls glowed faintly, lighting the dark halls with blue and gold. Strange writing appeared on the walls as they passed. Symbols, names, and diagrams Jace didn't understand. "What is this place?" he asked. "It's called the Heart Spire," Sorali said. "It holds the memory of my people. Everything we learned, everything we lost." As they entered the central chamber, a tall figure rose from the floor, made of light and sound. It looked like an older version of Sorali. Same wings, same silver eyes, but her voice was strong and wise. "Daughter of Starlight," the figure said. "If you see this, then the Empire has fallen." Sorali stepped closer. "Mother?" Jace stayed back. He knew this was not the real queen, just a memory. But Sorali's hands were shaking. "The Star Core must not fall into the wrong hands," the image said. "You carry its key inside you. Protect it. Share it only with those who choose kindness over power." The figure faded. Sorali lowered her head. She knew what would happen. "She prepared me for this." Jace put a hand on her shoulder. "What now?" "We need to awaken the Heart Spire," she said. "Its systems can help guide us to the Star Core, but it will attract attention." Jace sighed. "Let me guess. Bad attention?" She nodded. They began to activate the systems using Sorali's touch and voice. Lights flashed. Ancient machines came to life. Holograms spun above them, showing star maps and data codes. But just as the final lock opened, alarms rang out. Jace looked at the ship's screen. Multiple ships incoming. Sorali turned pale. "They found us." Jace ran to the control panel. "Can the temple protect itself?" "Yes, but I must connect directly to its core." "Is that dangerous?" She smiled. "Only if I fail." He didn't like the sound of that. Sorali entered the central circle and closed her eyes. Lines of light crawled up her arms. Her body lifted slowly into the air. The temple pulsed with energy. Outside, enemy ships dropped from hyperspace. One of them was large, twice the size of the Nomad's Grace, a battleship. Its black and red markings showed it belonged to the ones hunting her. A voice came through the speaker. "Human ship, you are holding a stolen royal artifact. Hand it over and you will not be harmed." Jace rolled his eyes. "Yeah, right." The enemy ship opened fire. Blue beams shot across space. The temple's shields held, but barely. Inside, Sorali's glow grew stronger. Her eyes opened, and they were pure light. The Heart Spire responded. Its outer rings spun faster. Beams of energy blasted out, striking the enemy ships. One exploded instantly. The rest pulled back, but the big one stayed. Jace heard a new voice, cold and full of pride. "Sorali, you are not a queen, you are a lost child. Give up and I may let the human live." Sorali floated back down, her glow dimming. "That voice, it's my cousin, Maltron. He was the one who betrayed us." Jace looked at her. "You sure you're ready for this?" "No," she said, "but I can't hide anymore." Together, they left the temple and returned to the Nomad's Grace. The temple gave them something new, a data crystal glowing with gold light. "It holds the path to the Star Core," Sorali said, "and part of my mother's last message." Jace took the pilot's seat. "Where to?" Sorali looked at the crystal. "To the place where our empire was born, and where it died, the planet of Illustra." As they launched, Maltron's ship chased them again. But this time Sorali reached out and touched the controls. The ship blinked into a higher speed, faster than Jace had ever seen. "Was that a jump through folded space?" she said. "Only the old bloodlines could do it." Jace stared at her. "Remind me never to play cards with you." She smiled for the first time in days. Behind them, the Heart Spire vanished into mist. Maltron was angry, but he could not follow. Not yet. In the quiet of space, Jace turned to Sorali. "So what happens if we find the Star Core?" "We change everything," she said. "For better or worse," he nodded. "Let's aim for better." And so, the scavenger and the Star Princess flew toward a lost world with a galaxy full of enemies behind them, and the power to shape the future ahead. The planet Illustra looked like a wounded jewel floating in space. Its surface was cracked and burned. Tall mountains had fallen, oceans had dried into dusty plains, and once golden cities were now nothing but ruins. Long ago, this had been the capital of the Miralith Empire. Now, only silence remained. Jace Rennick stared through the window of the Nomad's Grace. Hard to believe this place was once the heart of a whole empire. Sarali nodded, her silver eyes full of sorrow. This was my home. I played in those gardens. I studied in those towers. And now, she didn't finish. She didn't have to. The ship descended toward a wide platform near the ruins of a palace. Broken statues lined the path. Pieces of old banners still fluttered in the weak wind. As the ramp opened, Sarali stepped out first. She didn't look afraid anymore. She was taller now, not just in size but in presence. The little girl in the pod had become something else. A leader. A queen in the making. Jace followed her, keeping his hand near his blaster. So what exactly are we looking for? There is a chamber beneath the palace, she said. It holds the throne key. With it, I can call the Star Core. That sounds like something your enemies don't want. They'll do anything to stop us. They entered the palace. The walls were cracked, but the carvings still told stories. Of peace, of science, of a time when the Miralith helped build cities on moons and brought light to dark worlds. Jace saw the same face repeated in many images. Sarali's mother, the last queen. They reached the throne room. The seat was made of crystal and floated above the ground. It had been broken in half, the pieces scorched. This is where she died, Sarali whispered. Jace looked around. So where's the chamber? Sarali stepped forward and sang a short melody, soft and ancient. The floor trembled, a spiral. Staircase opened beneath the throne. They went down into the darkness. The air below was colder. Lights lit up on their own as Sarali walked forward. At the center of the chamber was a glowing pedestal. Resting on it was a small crown-shaped ring. She reached for it, but before she could touch it, a blast shook the room. Above them, the sound of engines roared. "They've found us," Jace said. Sarali picked up the throne key. A pulse of energy ran through the walls. "They can't take this from me again." Back on the surface, the sky filled with ships. Maltron's battleship landed beside the palace. Soldiers in black armor marched out, and walking in front of them was Maltron himself, tall, proud, and cruel. He looked almost like Sarali, but his eyes were sharp and cold. His voice echoed through the courtyard. "Sarali, come out. Stop playing queen." Sarali and Jace stepped forward from the broken palace. "This ends here, cousin," she said. Maltron laughed. "Yes, you're right. Hand me the key and I'll spare your pet human." Jace smirked. "I'm nobody's pet." "Quiet, scavenger," Maltron said, eyes full of hate. Sarali held the key high. "You destroyed our world. You sold our secrets. And now you want to wear a crown built on ashes. I won't let that happen." Maltron raised his hand. His soldiers aimed their weapons, but before they could fire, the Nomad's Grace lifted into the air. Its cannons, small but fast, fired across the field. The shock scattered the soldiers. Jace ran toward the ship. "Come on!" But Sarali didn't follow. Instead, she raised the key, and the ground beneath her glowed. A circle of light formed. From it rose a massive structure, an ancient satellite hidden deep below the palace. The Star Core. It floated above the ruins, large as a city, glowing with power. The Star Core pulsed and beams of light shot into the sky. Maltron's ship tried to fire, but its weapons failed. One of its engines exploded from the inside. "What is this?" Maltron shouted. Sarali's voice echoed across the land, clear and strong. "This is what my people built to protect the galaxy, a gift, not a weapon." The Star Core answered her call. A symbol lit up on her chest. The same symbol, carved into the heart spire back in the forbidden halo. Maltran ran toward her, blade drawn. Jace jumped between them, blocking the strike. The two fought quickly. Jace with a plasma blade, Maltran with pure anger. "You think she'll save you?" Maltran shouted. "She's a child." "No," Jace said, dodging a strike. "She's the future." Sirali stepped forward. Her eyes blazed with light. "Stop." Maltran froze in place. "Not from fear, but from the Star Corps' force." "You could have stood with me," she said. "I wanted to rule," he hissed. "You were never meant to." The Star Corps responded to her voice, and Maltran was pulled backward into a stasis field. It would not kill him, but it would silence him. The rest of his army dropped their weapons. Sirali turned to them. "Your war is over. I will not rebuild what we had. I will create something better." Jace looked at her. "What do you mean?" She smiled. "A new council, a place for all voices, human, Miralith, and others." Jace blinked. "Even humans?" She nodded. "Your people were once feared, but they also bring change, courage, and heart. It's time to bring them back into the galaxy." Jace chuckled. "Guess I'll need a better ship." "You'll have one," she said. "Or stay. Help build something new." He looked at the sky, then at her. "I don't belong on a throne." "No," Sirali said. "But maybe you belong next to one." Together they stood beneath the rising star core. The old world was broken, but a new one had begun. Jace Rennick stood on the highest balcony of the restored palace and watched morning light break across Illustra's scarred plains. Yesterday the planet had felt like a grave, but today soft red-gold beams shone on scaffolds, supply drones, and tents filled with workers from many worlds. Even damaged soil could grow hope. Below, the newly awakened Star Core hovered over the ruins like a silent guardian. Its rings of pale light turned slowly, mending cracked streets and filtering clean air into empty halls. Everywhere Jace looked, life was returning. He breathed out, still half expecting the quiet to shatter under another attack. Instead, he heard laughter, human engineers sharing coffee with Miralith healers, tall insectoid carriers unloading stone blocks, and a group of wide-eyed children chasing each other through dust that now smelled faintly of blooming grass. For the first time in years, Jace felt peace. Coronation in simplicity. That afternoon, Sirali invited every worker and visitor to the palace's central court. The crowd gathered beneath floating banners stitched overnight from salvaged cloth, one banner for each species that had answered Sirali's open call. There was no gold, no jewels, no ancient robes, just shared color and open sky. Jace stood near the back, grease still on his sleeves. Sirali entered wearing a plain white tunic and the small throne key ring resting like a circlet above her brow. She did not sit on the half-repaired crystal throne. Instead, she stepped onto a low stone block so everyone could see her face. "My friends," she began, voice steady but warm. "I will not rebuild the old Miralith Empire. That crown is broken. From its pieces we will craft something new, a circle where each world owns a seat and each voice carries weight." She raised a hand toward the Star Core. "This station healed the air today because we worked together. If we choose cooperation over fear, it can heal whole systems. It can lift food ships to hungry moons and lights to dark stations. It can end the need for war." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. Sirali lowered her hand. "The circle needs guardians, dreamers, teachers, and explorers. I cannot play all those roles, so I ask each of you, what part will you choose?" When she finished, she did not wait for cheers. She stepped down, thanked the stonecutters who had shaped her platform, and joined the crowd as an equal. That was her coronation, a moment of shared will rather than forced rule. Jace faces a choice later. Sirali found Jace in the shipyard, where he tinkered beneath the battered hull of the Nomad's Grace. Sparks jumped from a hand tool as he welded a "New guidance vein, you still plan to leave?" she asked. Jace slid out from under the ship. Was thinking about it. Dead worlds, hidden treasure, uncharted nebulae. That's my life. Sirali smiled softly. And yet you spent all morning repairing water pipes for strangers? Old habit, he grinned. Then his expression grew serious. You were right out there, about needing explorers, but are you sure I'm welcome? Humans and Miralith have history. Our future will not repeat that history, she replied. Besides, you never fit the stories people tell. You bought a stranger in a glass cage, then fought half the galaxy to keep her safe. That sounds like a founding tale to me. You make me sound heroic. You are, she said simply. Heat rose in Jace's cheeks. He wiped sweat from his forehead. Suppose I did stay. What would you have me do? Teach daring, she said, eyes shining. Lead small crews beyond the mapped lanes. Bring back news, not conquest. Jace pictured star charts rolling. Across screens, children learning to fix engines. Fresh eyes seeing wonders he had only dreamed of. The idea felt right. I'll need a better ship, he said. Sirali tapped the hull. The Circle can help with that. But keep this vessel, too. She's part of your story, Jace laughed. Deal. 3. Maltran's fate and a lesson. Learned Sirali and a council of healers decided Maltran's punishment. They did not choose prison satellites or exile to empty space. Instead, they placed him in a reflection sphere, a transparent room beside Eo, the palace garden, watched by volunteers from many species. There he would witness daily rebuilding and hear the voices of those he had almost destroyed. Some called the sentence too gentle. Jace visited once out of curiosity. Through the clear wall he saw Maltran pace circles, eyes haunted not by chains, but by the sound of laughter he could not join. Jace realized the sphere was harsher than any cell. It forced a tyrant to face, the community he'd failed to crush. When Jace told Sirali what he had seen, she nodded sadly. Justice without hate is harder, she said, but it leaves soil where better things can grow. A council forms within 10 days. Small representatives from 12 star systems arrived, called by Sirali's open signal. They met beneath a half-repaired dome, sitting on simple benches arranged in a circle. Sirali occupied one seat among many. Her voice counted the same as every other. They debated supply routes, translation protocols, medical exchange, and how to limit power so no single world could command the Star Corps alone. Jace watched the sessions when his hands were not busy with engines. At night, Sirali asked his opinion on safety measures and exploration charters. His practical suggestions, earned through years of scavenging, often cut through long speeches. Soon, the council appointed him Pathfinder Captain, in charge of mapping safe corridors for future relief convoys. The title made him laugh, but it also filled him with proud determination. The first beacon on. The eve before Jace's first mission, Sirali led him to a quiet ledge overlooking the valley. Dull soil now gleamed with patterned lights, small, beacons planted by volunteers to mark new gardens, clinics, and schools. Above, the Star Corps projected a gentle oval glow, sign of its promise never again to become a weapon. Sirali handed Jace a small cube no larger than his palm. It's a seed beacon, she explained. Drop it on any barren world. It will call the Star Corps' healing systems and start a new outpost. Let this be the first gift from the Circle. Jace turned the cube in his fingers. I've seen people scramble for profit my whole life. This feels different. It is, she said. Remember your words on the battlefield? Aim for better. This is better. They stood in silence, starlight reflecting off metal towers rising far below. Finally, Sirali spoke again, voice soft. You saved a princess, she said, then helped her become something else. Whatever stories history tells, I won't let it forget your name. Jace shrugged, half smiling. Long as the story ends, well, I'm happy. 6. Departure into the unknown morning came. Jace walked the length of the docking bay, feeling the thrum of a new engine beneath metal plates. Technicians from 3 species had worked through the night to upgrade the Nomad's grace. A reinforced hull, a folded space drive gifted by the Miralith archives, and medical pods from human doctors. The old freighter looked ready for a fresh legend. A small crew waited. 2 Miralith scholars, 1 human mechanic younger than Jace had ever trusted, and an insectoid pilot whose 4 eyes sparkled with excitement. Jace climbed the ramp, then paused and turned. Sirali stood among council members, wings faintly glowing in the dock lights. He raised a hand. Pathfinder Jace Rennick requesting launch clearance. Sirali smiled and saluted with the throne key resting above her brow. Clear path and open skies, Captain. Bring us back tales of wonder. He nodded, heart steady, and entered the ship. Engines hummed. Dock clamps released. The Nomad's grace lifted into pale morning light and climbed toward the black. As the planet curved beneath them, the star core flashed once, sending a thin beam into empty space. Moments later, distant, relays echoed the signal, scattering a net of silver pulses across star lanes. The first beacon of the circle was alive, guiding travelers not to conquest but to cooperation. Epilogue. Echoes of Hope Weeks. Later, far beyond the old frontier, a barren moon received the seed beacon. Soil cracked open to reveal hidden water. Low power fields warmed frozen air. Children, human and alien, would one day play under a sky that no map had even named. Back on Alistra, gardens bloomed where ashes lay. The reflection sphere grew quiet. Maltron, humbled, began to write long apologies for the archives. And every night, Sirali walked the palace terraces listening to new voices carried by star winds, reports of safe passages, rescued settlers, shared songs. Across the spiral arms of the galaxy, people spoke of a circle of worlds where a tiny alien princess and a stubborn human scavenger lit the first torch together, a reminder that courage backed by compassion could mend even the deepest fractures. And beyond all charts, the Nomad's grace sailed on, carving shining threads through darkness, always aiming for better.